Hello, welcome to Buildville Game Creator. I'm going to give you a run through of what Buildville is, why it is, and what you can do with it. Firstly, Buildville's very early in development. It's not anywhere near alpha stage yet. We'll load up a mission. Now with missions you've got two modes. I've called them survival and creative to keep with the Minecraft vernacular. Play basically means you're playing a mission, playing a game that you've created with the game rules all enabled. You've got limited resources, you can only do what the game creator has said that you can do. You can only play up the characters that they've marked as being playable. Build mode is more unrestricted. So I've loaded up in build mode. This is a movement tutorial I've made for the iOS version. You sort of go through here and tell you what to do and you do it. Because I had so much flack from looking like Minecraft, let's do something about that now. So here is all your resources, list of tiles that you can use that you've made so far. You've got plus and minus, you can just copy an existing tile and then modify it. On the right here, well, let's change the grass first. So we click on this palette button and we get tile types. Tile types are like templates to say how you're going to actually model this tile. So the top three are just cubes. One texture cube means one texture is on all four sides. And 6 texture cube means you could have a different image on every single side. So for simplicity we'll go to one texture. We'll pick a colour like something non-Minecrafty, like purple. Make it a bit darker purple. And then we'll give it sort of this alpha one that I've just clicked just lets me sort of tint. It's going to be we'll just draw sort of a pattern. I'm just going to tile over the place. Maybe we'll get a dark colour and we can just do a bit of shading. So the bit that is most complete in Buildville is the art side of it, that you can actually create all your different tiles. The bit that is still a long way for complete is hooking up the actual gameplay, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Okay, I won't spend too much time on this, but there we got that. Now you just go back in and, oh look, the ground's changed. Now we'll get rid of that red brick, which I also copied off Minecraft. And we'll make that more metallic. Oops, we've just cleared it all out. That one. And what will I do with that one? Let's just bevel it. I'll put a noise to it. Okay, so now we've changed the look a bit. And then those signs, that's an obvious Minecraft sign, let's get rid of that. So, as well as all your templates, at the end you've got voxels and large voxels. So large voxels like a 32 by 32 voxel, and normal voxels are 16 by 16. You edit voxels by slice. It's a little bit tedious, but it gives you complete control over it. So I'm just going to turn this sign into a television. Okay, beautiful television, yes. So the idea of Buildville is just to give you a lot of creativity. You know, other games focused is more on some sort of RPG gameplay or whatever they've made the game out of. This is really an engine where you... Oh, You could sort of think of it as every mod that's ever been invented put into Minecraft at once, where you can configure them all and then turn off the stuff you don't like and just make some sort of game. So we can now got it to a thin flat screen. For the tiles we can also turn on, edit a few of them at once. So now you see this green highlight, it shows all the ones that I'm currently editing. And I can do that to just extrude a bit of a backing to give it some style. Just fill that. You've got to undo if you made a mistake, which you do quite a lot. I'm not really an artist, I should mention at this point. I found that with 16 by 16 resolution textures you can get away with quite a lot, and your brain fills in the detail. As soon as you go any higher, you kind of need artistic skill. Alright, that'll do for now. I don't want to spend too much of the video making a TV. So now I'll click on there, and black text is kind of useless on a TV, so let's purple it up. Alright, so you get the idea. Click to build, and right click to remove, and left click to build. And it's sort of set up in a way where you, once you hold the mouse button down, it locks into a distance, so then you can then just drag it to make weird arcs and things. It's not great for position building, but it lets you make really big, interesting structures very quickly. So, I don't know. Characters. So I've just been adding the character stuff, so that I can spawn characters. So here's a werewolf I made, which actually ended up looking a bit more like a bear with a lion. I'll show you the process for making a character. You basically clone an existing character. Turn off his head for a second, I'll show you what he looks like. Mr. Block. So that's what he looks like when he had his block head. At the moment, characters come in bipeds or quadrupeds. So the pig character, which I'll show you, is the quadruped. I'll add more templates as we go along, because I definitely want to have birds and fish. And of course, once you've got a character, it's a playable character, everything's playable. You can choose not to make it a playable character, and it's just an objective or something in the world. But once I add a fish template, you'll be able to play as a fish. So the game's set up as two teams, like a red team and a blue team, but you'll be able to name the team as well. And so you can make a game where one person's actually fishing the other players. Once they added fish. So for everything that you render, you basically get a whole bunch of textures for all the different parts. The unwrapped. I'm going to do an unwrapped mode so you can see more than one at once. And this interface is draggable for iOS because it just doesn't, all these buttons don't fit on the iPad, so on the iPhone, so I can drag it. So once you've painted every single surface, boom, 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 the little preview bar tries to show you where the surfaces that you're painting. Like if I look at his feet now and I go, oh, I should really give him some feet, so I'll click on all the leg pieces. So I just picked his arms. I don't want his arms. I want his legs. Yes, the legs. Give them to me. Alright. And we'll just give him a bit of a black foot. Yeah, that's worked. Alright. Shade it a little bit. And then do the bottom black as well. I'm just using shading to gives it a bit more texture. Alright, so there he is, but his head looks like complete crap. So what we did for the head is in objects, as well as making your swords and your picks, and you can also make heads. Oops, I've just selected one. So it's a big voxel head made by slice after slice after slice. Probably took me an hour to do it, as you're pretty much drawing every pixel there, even though the ones in the middle of the body don't really matter. So I've kind of just copied them. You just focus on the outside, so you kind of design your shape and from two angles, and then you can draw it. And once you've done that, you go and configure your character in this configure button, and you say things like what team he's going to be on, red team, blue team. Like I said, you have to name those. I may even support more than 2 teams later, but I think most of the primary games will just be 2 teams. It just gets complicated when you start having to deal with 4 or 8 teams. You can turn on whether or not this character is going to be able to climb or fly or jump and crawl. Everything flies in build mode, but in the actual play mode you can restrict them, so you can unbalance the teams and have one person who can fly, or you could have like a predator who has all the abilities, and he's a bunch of humans who can just run and shoot. And you can breathe underwater. There'll be lots. This will be quite a big list of things you can do. You can change how fast they move, how big they jump. For the AI, this site, this interface is pretty early and made up. Once there's more controls for AI, they'll probably be wrapped together, so you won't need to edit them if it's not going to be an AI character. So for the cube head, I pick that. I could change it to a pig head if I wanted to, and now is a character for pig head. I can give him a pig head if I want it. This doesn't really care, it's just an object. And the body scale, so you can play really small characters or really big characters all in the same game. So you could have a giant, one team is a couple of giants, and the other team are lots of little people ducking in and out of places trying to kill them. Maybe the giant doesn't have access to the weapons, or the little people do. So I'll give him a standard height, but you'll see I made the head, because the voxel head's way too big, you just shrink that down. So I've actually got a higher detail head than the rest of the body. And you can even go to the next level of voxel, which is 32 by 32 if you want extreme detail. With my pig, I don't know, for some reason his tail got turned off. Let's give him his tail back. Figure of bipeds, you really just need a head and tail, and the rest you'll be able to get by with for all sorts of different 4-legged animals. And so now I have him. We go into the external view, there he is. There's my little fella. In his hand he's got a little model of him, because I'm going to place a few of them down. So let's place them down. Let's get up in the air and get some action going. At the moment they're just running around. Normally they wouldn't actually run in build mode, but I've turned it on for this video. But if I change team to actual enemy team, they're going to start noticing me and come after me. I'm not going to fly if they can't get me, but yeah, so they're all after me now. Let's just give myself some extra speed so I can get away from them. Who did I pick? No, Batman. I'm Batman. Alright, let's give myself some extra speed. Now the AI is really simple. I literally just put it in last night. They move towards you and they can jump if they hit a barrier. So come on fellas, come get me. Come get some. But of course they can't get over it if the jump height's too big, like that wall, unless I give them a really big jump. Then it's kind of amusing. Hey, go fellas, you can do it. Now they can get me. So it just gives you an idea of where I'm going with this. It's really early, you can't hook up the games yet. Actually I'll show you how hooking up stuff is going to work with lights. Okay, I've switched to night for the last part of this video, just to show off the coloured lights and the fact that you've got control over emissive. So with emissive it just means you can say what glows in the dark. That little sunlight thing there turns off, turns you onto nighttime mode. Then you can sort of say, I want to have some glowy lights, glowy glass, like that. So the nighttime now, you've got glowy grass. So now the way that all the logic's going to hook up is like I'm using my use key on this. So like turn things on and off, open doors, all that sort of stuff, and you hook that up yourself by just hooking up events. So for the purple light, so at the moment it's very simple, it's just a use of, it says on use, this changes to that tile, and then on that tile it'll change to it, it'll say that it's changing to another tile. This will get more complicated because it'll actually say on use, but you have to put a condition like on use but I have this item in my inventory, or I'm using it with this item. And that way we can do things like have doors that only open if you've picked up the correct key. I think that's kind of pivotal to doing some interesting sort of adventure style gameplay scenarios. But it means there's no coding experience. And these things are the same. That's actually two fans, one on, that's one off. The difference is they have this overlay object and then they have an animation that's a your spin. That's pretty much it. So when you switch to the one that has the animation your spin, it turns, and when you switch to the one that doesn't, it doesn't turn. And I'm just toggling between two tiles that you've configured yourself. That's probably it for now. The game's a long way from finished. I'm probably going to release it on iOS pretty soon though, because it's got enough creativity in it now that I think people can play with it. But it's a long way from being a game creator still. I've got to get in the guns and attacks and swords and stuff. Well, if you got to the end, then thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.